Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 50. Yes, episode 50 of Lunch Therapy. Let's get into this thing. Hey, everybody. So good to be here. I have my headphones today because today is going to be an episode, an interview episode. So normally we do our interviews on Fridays, but today is a very special day because it's the 50th episode. We're going to have Matt Kite on the show today, an interview with Matt Kite of the Whole Bolivian Army. But first, of course, we've got to do our breathing. We're going to take in 3 breaths. Take it in. Let it out. Take it in. And let it out. One more breath. And let it out. Yes. So I have my Sid Vicious shirt on today in honor of the Whole Bolivian Army. I can't say that I was ever a huge Sid Vicious fan, but this is a great shirt. It's actually my wife's shirt. Thanks for loaning it to me. Yes, so Matt Kite is somebody I've known for a long time. A lot of you out there in social networking land know Matt. And we're going to sit down. We're going to have an interview. Oh, Mulva Phillip is saying we saw the whole Bolivian Army in Port Townsend. Exactly. So yeah, he has the band, the whole Bolivian Army. We were out there for the Thing Festival in Port Townsend, and Kamala was a huge Sex Pistols fan. Therefore, that's where the shirt comes from. But without further ado, let's get into this interview with Matt Kite. Hey, all right, here we are. We're with Matt Kite of the Whole Bolivian Army. And this is another segment in interviews with cool people. Yeah, that's what it's officially called now. My interviews, at first it was sort of like interviews with my friends, but now I'm broadening it out. I've got a friend here, but next time it's going to be like super cool person I don't even know. It's going to be surprising. So anyway, I'm glad that you're here taking the time with me. This is Matt Kite. We've known each other for ever. I can't remember a time that I didn't know Matt Kite. I'm thinking that we probably met at Edmonds Methodist Church or something. You think?
Oh,
your dad was like the music director.
You were a good Methodist boy?
That's a little Methodist
boy. I forgot
boy.
that.
I know. I knew.
Right.
I thought I'd surprise you with that.
I remember your older brother, David.
Yeah.
I remember he went to church more than you did.
He was a much more staunch churchgoer than I was. I don't think so. I think any time that he went, I had to go too.
Yeah, I think I only saw you guys a few times, and it looked like someone had dragged you there. Like,
that's right.
Go
my parents, I'll tell you, taught Sunday school for a little while.
Oh wow! They probably taught me.
They might have. They made. They had everybody make paper mache puppets because my dad, is an artist, so. He's, used whatever crafty work he could come up with. And it was fun.
I think they're why I'm an agnostic now.
Maybe. My parents, they were like, let's not learn about Christ. Let's make some puppets. That was what they did. I don't know. I mean, maybe we were in Sunday school together at some point. I remember I remember being in a Sunday school class. There was a guy teaching who looked a lot like Jesus. And he was very calm, And he looked like, John Lennon type guy, and he decided he was going to devote his life to the Edmonds Methodist Church. And there was a guy in there. Oh, I wish I could think of his name. There was a guy in there that was just irritating him. And the guy said, everything that you ever want to know is in the Bible. I remember him saying, in a very calm way, though, very Jesus-like way, whatever you want to know, children, is in the Bible. And this guy was like, well, what about sex? Sex in the Bible?
It is.
Yeah. And he goes,
totally.
Yes.
Yes.
And then he finds, some kind of citation of it.
The whole Song of Solomon is just all about
that's where
dirty
he went.
sex.
He went right to Song of Solomon and started trying to prove to this guy, Troy, I don't know. Anyway, he's trying to prove to Troy that sex is in the Bible. And Troy kept just irritating him. And finally, the guy snapped. He grabbed Troy by the scruff of the neck, slammed him against the wall. Yeah. And left, and was never seen again.
I totally.
I want to say Troy Strumbita, but I don't think it is. That's just I said Troy, and now I want to say Troy Strumbita, but I don't think so. We'll find out. Somebody will know.
You mentioned Troy because I was thinking today how many cool names of our classmates.
Yeah.
Rebecca Funk.
That's
just a great name.
Mike
Troy
Gaylord.
Strumbita.
Mike Gaylord.
Yes, Mike Gaylord.
Who also became a rock
Mongrain.
star. Yeah, rock star type.
Yeah,
right?
He was briefly in the Whole Bolivian Army.
Was he?
Very briefly. Yeah.
Really?
He joined us a few years back, and we played one crazy show in Lakewood, Washington. And then I can't remember. We had some kind of personnel problem. Someone had to take a pause or something, and by the time we got back together, I think it was kind of mutual where Mike was like, because Mike played in Love Battery and Tad, really heavy bands.
He played in
and
that.
We're not
that one with the really big guy.
Tad.
Tad. Yeah, he played in Tad, right? We had a lot of rock stars at Woodway High School.
I know.
We had Jeff Redding.
Yes.
Where did he play?
With everybody.
Really?
He's played with the dude from Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan.
I had no idea.
He's played in a million bands.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people. Even apparently the original drummer for Nirvana went to Woodway for a bit, according to Matt Wright.
I did not know that.
Apparently Lane Staley went to Meadowdale.
Oh, that makes sense.
But that was Woodway, of course. Yeah. Because we're just talking about rock stars from Woodway.
Alice in Chains, they're a great band, but they were always second tier because Meadowdale was not as cool as Woodway.
Meadowdale. Have you ever seen that meme that has the Breakfast Club characters and it has each one of the schools on it?
Yeah.
And Meadowdale, I think, was we're Molly
Meadowdale's
Ringwald.
the wrestler. Oh,
yeah, we're Molly Ringwald. God, psychology class with Mr. Openshaw. Oh, man. That was a pretty intense
Gene
class.
Openshaw?
Gene Openshaw. Apparently, people see him around still.
Yeah.
Gene Openshaw. Maybe he'll be in our chat room. You never know. Yesterday, Frau Hall was in our chat room.
No way.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I know.
Frau Hall.
There was much rejoicing. That's cool. So hopefully, maybe Openshaw will be in the chat room, and hopefully we won't put him down too much.
Well, no, he inspired me to. That's why I got my bachelor's in history.
Do you remember we had an assembly, and do you remember the spirit keg? There was a keg that each class would steal from one another, and it was painted Woodway colors, which were the ugliest colors ever, orange and green. I don't know. It seems like a weird. I mean, I guess we were just all I don't know. We were Ireland. Oh, there we go. Remember? Do you have one green one and one orange one?
No, I wish I did.
Man,
I did back then.
Me too. But anyway, so they had the spirit keg, and each class would steal it from one another, and there was a riot. There was somebody stole it, and then all of a sudden, the whole bleachers of the senior class just cleared, and then there was a riot, and they had to stop the thing completely.
Our keg.
Yeah, and then we went back to class with Openshaw, and he gave us this whole lecture on mob mentality. Now you had something that you emailed me about. That I forgot.
Oh yeah, I knew nothing about Myth Club, and so everyone was like, "Matt, you got to come. If you want to be in Myth Club, you got to go to initiation." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" No one would tell me, and I was worried because high school is horrible. So horrible. And I get there, and they're like, "Wait, first there was something about getting small, and the way the school or the student parking lot at Woodway was on a very gentle slope."
Mhm.
And if you went down to the far end of it, even
Yeah.
though you weren't that far away, you looked like you were really small. It was
That's
just
great.
something about the parking lot. So first week there was always, let's get
It was
small.
like an optical illusion.
So everyone's getting small. And
Did
then
you ever listen to the Steve Martin album, Let's Get Small?
Yes,
It has
I
to
heard
be what
that
that's from,
years
right?
later. Yeah. So then, even though I'm sure it was out by then, but
Yeah.
so then someone said, okay, now you got to do the dance. And someone put in Violent Femmes, I Hear the Rain. And it was just some weird dance
Was
around the
it
parking
playing
lot. And
on in Kevin
somebody's,
Sherman's like Honda, like
yes,
Honda? He had that
yes.
sticker on it that said "Do not play on or around" that he got off like a dumpster.
That's probably it. Yeah.
And then they dance around. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's so great.
Yeah. And I remember I went to one or two meetings and it was just all preposterous. You know, it was
ridiculous.
Like open the minutes and that kind of stuff.
We actually had meetings. We actually had meetings.
Yes. And there was one where we went to Denny's and you guys were like, you guys were taking knives and sticking them down into the cracks.
I wonder how many
there was
forks and knives they found down there when they finally like lifted that thing up. They're like, what is this? There's an entire restaurant full of silverware down here. Yeah, that was.
But you guys kind of rescued me because I was thinking about this because I think it was right around when I started hanging out with all you guys around the 11th grade because I was, realizing that if I kept smoking a lot of pot, I might not do much.
It's possible. It happens to some people. Definitely happens to some people.
And so I cleaned up my act because I was like, these guys are all smart. They're funny. They're all genuine, nice people. Yeah. They're all good people. So I think this is my crowd, you know? Yeah, and so that was where it happened for me. But you guys kind of rescued me. And then after that, like we were talking before this interview, the last time I think I smoked pot was
we were together.
A funny moment years ago.
Tell me about that because I remember I think we were at that house that you had that was like out in the woods or something, right? You had that
little cabin
really
in
cool
the woods.
Little cabin in the woods. And I was there, and I think Jeff Lohman was there, and I don't know who else, and we were like.
But yeah, we got out guitars, and everybody was wee, and you started playing, and I got to play it.
I don't think I can play it though. Okay. I'll just put my guitar on just for fun. So I have one too.
I'll aim my. So I think it's in the key of G.
Okay.
It's called D D D D D D.
Okay.
Because I think
that's the official name.
This is just my memory of it. But you were so. This is when I should have known that you were going to be a comedian because you just kept playing it over, and you were like, "Isn't this awesome?" Because the whole point was it was a silly thing and it was ironic. You were being ironic. But anyway.
It's a good song.
Anyway, yeah.
And it is a good song. I would never
played it for like 20 minutes.
Really high. Yeah.
And of course, we played Jeff Lohman. He had Bigfoot as my best friend, which I still remember.
Oh my God! Can you do it? Best friend, Bigfoot is my friend. I had him sing it. When I interviewed him on the show, I had him sing it a lot, and there's verses to it too that I didn't really know. But I love
there's
that
a whole
song.
beat section.
Oh man, it's so good. So, okay, I want to talk about you, though. You were always a really good guitar player. I mean, when you were very young. I bought that Fender Bullet from you, I remember.
Yes.
And I remember you playing, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, you were like, here's some Led Zeppelin, a Brain Song, whatever, you know? And I was like, what? And so I want to do that, too. And I bought that guitar, which is probably like some kind of collector's item now.
I think it might be because they only made it for a year or two.
Was that your like first guitar?
That was my first electric guitar. I started playing, I think when I was like 12 or 13, but my dad, I played his, he had like a classical guitar. Yeah. And so I played his and I was like, damn, I want to rock.
Yeah, I want to rock.
So I got the Fender Bullet, I think when I was around 14 or so.
That was a cool guitar. It was super heavy. Super heavy.
Was it super heavy? Oh, that's funny. I have a picture of me. Gosh. Yeah, somewhere. Anyway. That was a great guitar, and eventually I got like the 52 Telecaster, that the one that Springsteen always plays, the butterscotch one.
Cool. Those are
but
cool.
So that was my first serious guitar. But I totally missed the bullet. Totally
man.
missed.
You know what happened to it?
Well, I want to hear.
So my girlfriend at the time, Vanessa, her dad was a studio guitarist, and he was like Wolfman Jack, this guy. And I went and met him or whatever, and he saw the bullet. Okay. I don't know where he saw it or what. I had it or something, and maybe I brought it with me. He lived out like in Ocean Shores or something. We went out there, and he saw it, and he was like, "I'll trade you that guitar," because he really liked it, because he was kind of a small guy, and I guess he liked to play sitting down, because he was like a studio guy, and he'd played on a lot of famous albums and stuff, and he really liked that guitar, and he said, "I will trade you this for it." And he showed me a guitar that was like a Stratocaster that looked like that ivory one that Jimi Hendrix plays at Woodstock.
Nice.
You know, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, yeah, hell yeah."
Of course.
Then when I actually traded with him, he pulled a switcheroo, and he traded me for this one instead, which is a PB. It's like a T25, right? It's like all like whacked out, man. It's like the fretboard, everything's like replaced, and he played it a lot, and but it was not the same guitar, and I still have it. It's the one that I have. It's the one that I have now, and it smelled too, like it smelled like smoke. Like you take it out of the case, and it was just like, whoa, what's that smell? And it was this guitar. Anyway,
the smell of rock and roll.
I was totally the smell of rock and roll. I've had it ever since. And it is a screaming guitar, but it never stays in tune or anything. It's just loud and it's just obnoxious. But it's not the guitar I traded for.
I think you got robbed.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, what?
I think you got hosed.
And I was a kid, so I was like, oh, okay, well, all right. I guess.
All right, I'll take the beat.
I don't think that's exactly what I was going to trade for, but okay. Yeah. It's a lesson, a life lesson, and like maybe you should say something when somebody pulls the switcheroo on you. How he knew I was going to go for it.
Yes.
When did you start playing in a band? Was that? I have this idea. Lawn Darts was Lawn Darts.
Yeah, that was. I think that was my second. My second band. My first band was my junior year. I started playing with a good friend of mine, Mike Spell. He went to Meadowdale, and his older brother Wayne Spell, who ended up being in a bunch of. In the 80s, there were a bunch of like heavy metal bands like out of the Northwest. Like, well, Queensryche got famous, but
absolutely
there was like TKO and Metal Church and all these. And he was in one of those famous bands, so he was very active. But we were briefly in this band together, and we would all show up. There was like this trailer in the woods, and my mom would drop me off, and she's like, "I don't feel good about this." It's fine, Mom. It's fine. And these guys were all older, except me and Mike were the kids in the band, but they were all like in their 20s. And we played like, hard rock or whatever. And it lasted a while. And then me and Mike got kicked out, because we were the young guys. Yeah, they got older guys. And then the Lawn Darts senior year, that was
Gordy Frying, you, John Townsend?
Jerry Parton.
Jerry Parton.
On bass. Yeah. Oh. And then Brian Kokish on drums.
Brian Kokish.
He was a junior. Yeah, I think he was in the band, marching band.
And you guys played "Take Me Away to Marseille" a lot. It's one of my favorite songs. I had to look it up on the internet. I'm like, is that even a song? Did they write that song? But it's like a song. Yeah. It's good. It's super good. Anybody wants to listen to "Take Me"? It's called
"Take Me Away to Marseille." Angel City.
It's a great song, man.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about that the other day, and I looked them up, and I looked at a bunch of their videos, live footage, and I retaught myself the solo because I had totally forgotten how to play it.
Lyrics and everything of that song, because anytime you guys play that song. It's good.
Cool.
Frying was he rocked out on that thing. I mean, I didn't expect Gordy to be like scream singing like that, but he's good. He was good.
He was great. So this is the microphone, if you can hear me, that Gordy Frying sang into. This is the actual microphone one that he sang into.
No way.
Because this belonged to Woodway High School.
Really? That's Woodway High School's ex-microphone.
And we used to practice in the band room at Woodway. And they were, Bruce Caldwell, the music director, everybody there was really nice to us. Because I think Gordy was in school choir.
The band. Oh, he was in the choir,
so was Brian Kokish. So those were our ends. Me and
and
Jerry
the
were
band
not.
was big. Woodway band had a good band.
Well, Bruce Caldwell was a great director.
He was.
Really
I was in the
good.
band.
Well, oh, you were well renowned.
Until I started playing. Well, no, I was in the band most of the time, I think. I played the French horn. Yeah. I don't want to brag or anything, but
I did not know that.
I played the French horn. Jeff Lohman and I.
No way.
Yeah.
Serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Chairs 1 and 2.
Oh,
that's right, dude.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, here's the story. So we were always using this mic. Bruce was always like, use that one.
Yeah.
So, and that was our rehearsal mic. And we used it like, we played a talent show at Woodway and one of the brown bag lunches, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I was always there. I definitely saw
you
that.
Sang up, you jumped on stage.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
For the Rat song.
Oh, dear.
I used to store this in my guitar case. And I just forgot about it after the last rehearsal.
Yeah, right.
And then like 2 months after graduation, I opened the little flap in my guitar case to like get strings or something. I was like, oh, there's the mic.
Wow, that's great. And you still have it today. It's an artifact. I love it.
And it was too late to take it back. So.
I love it. Actually, you loaned me an amp when I bought the guitar from you. You loaned me your amp.
Oh, okay.
And then I just kept it. And I always felt like, I wonder if he wanted that back. But I never was like, hey, Matt, do you want your amp back? I just kept it. And so, I had that guilt for a while.
What amp was it?
It was a little Fender amp. And you're like, I'll loan you this amp.
Oh, was it the Harvard Reverb?
And yeah, it was the Harvard Reverb. I had that amp forever.
Nice. I thought I gave it as part of the sale.
No, you were like, I'll loan you this amp. Like that, the phrase was loan. So for good 20 years, I was like, oh, I got to give that amp back.
Well, where the hell is it?
That's a good question.
It back
it's in
now.
my parents' attic, I think. I got to get you that. I'll get it for you though. Don't worry.
Okay, it's probably fried.
The Harvard Reverb. I think actually I did fry it because I think I tried to sing into it at some point. I just plugged directly in there. I was like, yeah, and then I realized you can't do that. Just blow the thing out completely. So okay, so
awesome.
lawn darts.
Yes.
What happened with? Well, when I interviewed Matt Wright, I realized that. Yes. One of his early on bands, which was the Body
Bags. Yes.
I went and saw at LaFerno's, and I didn't realize that was kind of the start of his career. And we were all like, oh, Body Bags, whatever, play some AC/DC or whatever. We were the ones yelling like, come on, guys, play some AC/DC. What are you doing? And we didn't know that was like the start of like a big like revolution.
But I had the same response was like, oh man, don't you guys know any good rock songs?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, years later, I'm at the Crocodile Cafe, and I think Todd Hass was there, and Mary Beth. We all went, and we're watching Gas Heifer. Yeah, and I'm just like, Matt is just I'm sure he still is if he wanted to do it. Just an incredible frontman. Really I loved watching him.
Oh, me too.
And afterwards, I probably made him feel uncomfortable because I was just like, you're the greatest. I love you. But it was so cool to see him do his thing. And just, they really carved out a voice for themselves.
Yeah. I remember Kevin Sherman and I were in LA, and we saw in the Weekly or something. We're like, oh, they're playing the Troubadour. Gas Heifer.
Very cool.
So we got over there and we saw it. That was the only Gas Heifer concert I saw that was the only Gas Heifer concert that I saw. And it was that same experience where we came in and we're like, this is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Because Jeff Lohman was early on the Gas Heifer train, and he brought a CD to my place when I was living in Seattle. Yeah. And he played me Night Train to Spokane. And I was just like, this is awesome. But, until you see it live, there's never quite the connection. And then once you see it live, it's like, oh, my God. Even to this day, I was playing like maybe 5 years ago when I was just, trying to expose him to as many different bands as possible. Yeah. I played him some Gas Heifer. We were driving down to Nisqually Wildlife Refuge. Mm-hmm. Just to walk around on a nice warm day in the winter. Nice. And I cranked up. They have a song called Nisqually.
I knew it.
Here you
they
go.
have a song.
Yeah, and it's mostly an instrumental, but then every time it gets to the chorus, Matt goes, Nisqually! can't do it, but it's awesome.
Matt will sometimes send me songs. He's like, oh, I got a song. Like I mentioned, like licking a frog. And he's like, oh, there's a Grasshopper song for that. He sends it to me. And sure
There's
enough,
a Grasshopper song for everything.
For everything. Yeah. For everything. Oh my God. That's so great. So after the lawn darts, when did you start like having a band, with the Whole Bolivian Army? When did that show up? Was that the next band you were in?
No, first there was John Townsend, who also plays bass. Him and Jerry were the two bass players I knew. I was in a couple of, I guess I'll call them summer bands with John, where you come home from college and you play for a couple months, then you go back to whatever. And that was really fun. And he exposed me to, like, he was the first guy. He played me Soundgarden. He was like, "This is what's happening now." And I was like, "No, I don't get it."
Like, no, what's wrong with me?
And then like a year later, oh, this is amazing.
I was sort of like that with those bands too. Like when it was happening, I was like, it sucks. But that was kind of the way it was in Seattle. Like everything sucked. Everything we hated. People like stuff, we were like, I hate it. If YouTube, I hate it. REM, I hate it. And then these bands came along, we're like, oh, that sucks too. Everything sucks. And it wasn't until a long time later that I was like, wow, this is good.
Yeah, I guess the Screaming Trees weren't so bad after all. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, people would be playing me this. I was like, it's okay. It's not Hendrix.
Yeah, that's exactly everything was compared to Hendrix.
I was in a graduate program at Western for creative writing. A professor I had as an undergrad convinced me, even though I was a history major, he's like, you should do this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, sure, I did not belong. And I was doing fine academically, but I just had like this string of horrible panic attacks. And I was like, I don't think I belong here, So I just dropped out. Yeah. And I wandered around. I went to Europe for a little backpacking trip and did some of the typical stuff you do when you're freaking out. Yeah. And then I was going on a run, and Steve Miller, I can't remember if he rode by on his bike or drove by. Yeah. But he stopped me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "You play guitar, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, you play guitar." He's like, "Well, now I play bass." And I was like, "Oh, we should start a band." And that was like that was the fall of '92.
Really?
Or something like that.
And of course, this is not Steve Miller from Tacoma, Washington, that fly like an eagle, but it's the
different Steve Miller
you went to high school with. Yeah,
I prefer to say this is the Steve
Miller. Steve Miller. Thank you.
Yes.
The other's the Steve Miller band.
Yes, this is the Steve Miller. Right. Yeah. So So and we met, and Mary Beth. I had met Mary Beth. Trevor Stewart tried to set us up on a blind date. Trevor and his girlfriend at the time. Yeah.
Really?
And we went, but neither of us were really interested in dating at the time. It was just the wrong time. Yeah. But I really liked Mary Beth. I thought she was really nice. And she mentioned she sang. And I was like, oh, well, me and my old high school friend are starting a band. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'll try out or whatever. And that's how it started.
Wow.
And we were in the band for several months. And at some point I realized I had a major crush on her. And I was like, I had to take Steve aside and it's like, mind if I ask Mary Beth out? And he was like, actually, I was thinking of doing the same thing.
Hilarious. Now you look at him and you're like, you were what? You were thinking about
what?
Asking my wife out? What?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. isn't it? Kind of an awkward moment. It's kind of like when Luke Skywalker kissed Princess Leia. It's like one of those moments where you look back and you're like, that's weird.
That makes me feel funny inside.
So what was that like though during the big sub pop time and when everybody was blowing up in Seattle and stuff like that? Was that a really stressful time, or what was that like?
Well, I think it was everything because it was also a lot of fun and exciting because you felt like you were at the center of the universe. Oh, totally. And for us, the first time we headlined the Crocodile on a Saturday night, it just felt like you were at the top of a serious mountain. Little did you know it was a very tiny mountain, and there's many bigger mountains. But
that's a big deal, though. To be around at that time and be in the it must have been incredible.
It was fun, and so many people were. Almost everybody you met was from somewhere else because they'd come here.
Everybody came there
to start a band.
Yeah, but the idea of you being a consistent musician throughout your lifetime and having a band and having your whole family in the band really is an admirable thing that most people don't do. They give up on themselves, or they think, oh, I can't hold down a job and do my art, or, I mean, that's some of the greatest artists that ever lived worked a job and did their art.
It's funny because I was talking earlier about my freak out during grad school. So I'm wandering around the streets of Madrid, about to come home, and I wander into this guitar music store, and I motioned the guy, couldn't speak Spanish, but I was like, can I try? And I played this classical guitar, and I shook, and I was like, what? This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. And so it didn't really matter after that if anybody else cared.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know what I'm saying?
I mean, when you really
I'm just going to do it.
You get down, like, I'm going to do this thing because I love doing this thing. You can't be an artist and ask people permission.
No.
That's not an artist. An artist doesn't ask people permission to do what they're doing.
No. And if you were bothering someone, you're doing it right.
That's probably true.
So we were doing this cover.
Yeah.
Motorhead cover.
Yeah.
We did a video for it. We did a totally tripped out synth version that does not match the original at all.
Yeah.
We even changed the melody and the arrangement and everything. And we advertised the video in the UK.
Yeah.
And we got a shitload of comments and shares and likes, but we also got some people just going, you guys blow chunks. Just like people just saying, this is dreadful. Yeah. This is awful. This is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
Lemmy's rolling over in his grave right now.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we did it.
Yes. You have to be like that. You have to be. Because, when you first hear I remember, I know I don't know if this is a weird example, but first time I heard the Go-Go's, we got the beat, or whatever they were on Saturday Night Live. We got the beat, everybody, and I remember just going, this sucks. What is this doing on television? This is the worst song I've ever heard. But it has survived. And it was, and after I listened to it for a while, it's like, well, I like it. You know what I mean? And I like it today when I listen to it. But at the first time when I heard it, I was like, this is horrible.
Yes.
That's why you got to play deet, 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 deet. You got to play the deet, deet, deet song. You got to play it over and over and over again. Deet, 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 deet.
Could do the Matt, right?
I love that.
I totally I love his moves. Yes, that's it. I still in a recent video we did, we have this part where we're all just dancing and being spaz, and I just started doing the.
I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah. What did he call the old man monkey?
Yeah, the old man monkey. That's what he said. Now I'm the old man. Now I'm the monkey.
Yeah, which you got to guess.
Yes, there's two of them. I love that so much. And I always love those mutton chops that he had. And he said one day I looked in the mirror and I was like, this looks stupid. And he shaved them off. It's like, you got to get them back, man. You got to get them back.
I thought they were pretty awesome.
I thought they were cool too, man.
But
they're just, they go well with the old man monkey thing.
I had in the late, I think it was the early aughts, late 90s, early aughts. I had a little John Holmes.
Did you?
Porn stash.
Oh, that's cool, man. I got the Captain Morgan going on right now.
Yes, that's very nice. I like it.
How is it being in a band? How is it being in a band with your wife? Is it
awesome?
Is it creatively difficult at all, or do you guys argue sometimes over lyrics or anything? Who writes the songs? Tell me.
I'm the songwriter, and early on there was some group stuff, but that only lasted a brief period, and then Mary Beth was just like, go with it, and so I write the songs and the melodies even, and then she kind of takes it from there and makes it into something much better.
I wanted to ask you about what you said about panic attacks, that you were having panic attacks when you were creative writing. Were you actually having full on like panic attacks?
Oh yeah, full body,
because I also was having that too.
Oh, wow.
Throughout my career, I have battled, and I never really knew what it was.
Yeah, you don't when it first hits you.
I get full on panic attacks. And no one, like I said to people, like when we were younger, nobody had panic attack. I never heard what a panic attack was.
No.
Some people had nervous breakdowns, but it was like
Yes.
somebody's mother somewhere or something.
Yes.
Like somebody had, and only women had it, not men, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, everybody was like, nobody would have a panic attack, but I know that feeling. You just get full on, like, it's like full on adrenaline.
Yes.
Just sweating, shaking,
yes.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just sweat and rivulets coming down.
Yeah. So I had that, like, when I started acting, all of a sudden I was just full on panic attacking on the stage and stuff. And that actually became like a big, like, I think that was one of the biggest battles in my life.
Yeah.
Battle with that, because I didn't know what to do about it. Didn't know. I tried all kinds of things. And what I finally came to, because I did meditation and Tai Chi and breathing exercises and therapy and everything. What I finally came to was, when you have one, you got to just be like, all right, let's do it. Let's do this thing. If you're going to do it, let's do it, man. I want to see how much sweat I can possibly do. Because you get to a certain point, you're just like, and then it just goes away. It just like runs away. Because that's the nature of it. And you don't analyze it. You don't go, hey, let's try and stop it.
I learned early on, you can't argue with it. There's no conversation to be had with a panic attack.
You can't be like, can we do this later?
It's a physiological response.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot you can do to just make yourself not prone to one. And that's what I do. It's like preemptive medicine. And it's probably, for me, been a long time since I've had one, but I still think about them and think, oh, that would suck to have one of those now.
Yeah, right. I know.
But it's helped being in a band, because occasionally early on I would have some anxiety on stage.
Yeah.
And I just kind of learned to, if you're feeling it, just lean into it, go with it. And it becomes a part of the experience. And all of a sudden, then it feels, it just makes you feel more rooted to the moment. Like it's a gift if you treat it the right way.
Yeah. That's what early on, one of my friends who was very wise, when I was in college, I was like, I think maybe I confided in him. And that was like the only person I said, yeah, I'm getting really like freaked out, like on the stage. Like all of a sudden I get this like adrenaline rush. And he goes, well, that's just an indication that you give a shit, that you care. And, and he said that, and that kind of energy is also the kind of energy that makes you have the right to stand on stage. Because if somebody's on stage and they don't give a crap and they don't have any energy, why would you want to watch that?
Yes. Mary Beth, she's never had panic attacks per se, but she's had anxiety like most people. And she gets it, a lot of it before shows. She gets it before shows. Just a lot of anxiety. What do I do with this? And she's learned over the years that if she doesn't have it, it's going to be a lame show because there's not enough energy there. Yeah. But if she's really worked up and uptight and all out of sorts, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, totally. Yeah, everybody. Stage fright is normal for whatever reason. I don't know why humans are so self-conscious, but we are.
Well, it might be because you put yourself out there, and somebody in England might say, "You're doing it wrong. The guy's rolling around in his grave," and you're just like, "Maybe we shouldn't do this because they might not like it."
Fear of failure, fear of rejection. The greatest part about that whole Motorhead story was we actually had people writing in, I had drinks with Lemmy. I knew Lemmy. He would love this, But, the very nice guy would say the opposite. So it's just awesome.
What's your new album?
We released The Monster That Ate Her.
Right.
That was actually last October.
Okay.
But that was really exciting for me because Gibson, my son, plays on it.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
It was awesome and he's just a phenomenal person, but also a phenomenal drummer, mind-blowingly good drummer.
Oh, really?
And so
I can only imagine.
It's
I
really
can't
fun.
only imagine because I've seen him. I can actually, I have experienced it. He is a good drummer. It's a great drummer.
It's funny now because after shows in the old days, everybody went straight to Mary Beth because she's got such great pipes. And they're like, man, for such a little wee person, you can really belt it and that kind of stuff. Really, and now they just go past us and they go straight to us and they're like, dude, you can really play.
That's cool.
A young guy, But that's our latest thing. It's really fun. And we are doing, right now, we've been doing, during this whole lockdown, we've just been doing a bunch of new material, old material, bunch of recordings, and so I think some kind of EP is going to come out of this. So
there's going to be a lot of creative stuff coming out of this thing, I think.
Yes. You got to do something with your angst.
All right. Nice talking with you, Matt. Check out his YouTube channel, The Whole Bolivian Army. All right. So there you go. There you have it. That's my talk with Matt Kite. And thank you all for joining in, and thank you for being in the chat room. Let everybody else know about it too if they weren't there. And we will see you tomorrow for episode 51 of Lunch Therapy.